Coming up on Tech News Today, Skype launches video messages, Valve launches Steam for Linux, and Nintendo launches into the basement selling the Wii U. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, February 15th, 2013. Tech News Today is brought to you by Pond5, the world's stock media marketplace. If you're a media maker looking for video, photos, illustrations, music, sound effects, After Effects, templates, or 3D models, check out Pond5. And for an exclusive 50 free stock media files, go to pond5.com/TNT. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Ayaz Akhtar.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is the show we keep you up to date on the most important stories in the tech world, put them in context for you, starting with the top 10 stories of the day in the news finishes. You can now leave video messages for people on Skype. Skype is rolling out video messaging today to its iOS, Android, and Mac apps in the US, UK, and a few other countries. Messages are limited to 3 minutes, and the service will eventually come to Windows as well, but no word on when.
Alleged screenshots of the OS powering a Samsung Galaxy smartwatch have surfaced online. Today, SlashGear obtained screenshots from a Korean message board, and featured is one leaked screen are the words Samsung Galaxy Altius. They don't look like they're from a smartphone OS, though. The screenshots carried a 500 by 500 resolution and kind of look like a black and white LCD display, which kind of looks like a watch to me.
The battle between New York Times writer John Broder and Tesla continues. Now, Broder has written a response to Elon Musk's rebuttal of Broder's original New York Times piece. The original piece said that the Tesla Model S could not make a drive from Washington, D.C. to Boston. Musk accused Broder of sabotaging the test drive. Now, Broder's newest piece says his driving and charging habits were done with express directions from people working at Tesla. Oh, and CNN has thrown their hat into this circus, too. A CNN reporter took the same drive from D.C. to Boston with plenty of power left over.
Facebook is now free to force Germans to use their real names on its social network. The Administrative Court of Schleswig granted Facebook's request for suspensive effect against a ruling made by Schleswig-Holstein's Data Protection Commissioner. The court ruled that since Facebook has its European headquarters in Ireland, only Irish data protection laws apply.
Nintendo has already cut its forecast for the Wii U after sales failed to meet expectations. So, how bad was it? The NPD Group has released its report for January video game retail sales and isn't providing specific hardware numbers, but a source tells Gamasutra that the Wii U sold well under 100,000 units.
Opera announced it's buying Skyfire Labs in a deal that could be worth as much as $155 million. You might have heard of Skyfire before. They made a browser that allowed you to watch Flash videos on iOS. Now, Skyfire as a company is a mobile video optimization specialist that reduces the size of video and other media by up to 60%. Looks like Skyfire ought to be a piece of Opera's turbo mode in no time.
Good call. Microsoft might as well take $2.5 billion out to the dumpster behind its Redmond offices and just burn it, according to Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Holt. Those are actually not at all his words. Holt made a more reasonable claim that if Microsoft were to make its badly kept secret Office for iOS product available for, say, around $60, the company would be able to make about $2.5 billion off it even after Apple took its cut. Still, in my opinion, burn it, Ballmer, burn it!
HTC source reported a week ago that HTC would start selling the HTC M7 in Europe on March 8th with a price tag of about €650. Today, a trusted source says the U.S. launch of the M7, which will be the HTC One in the States, is set for March 22nd and will be coming to AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint with 32 gigabytes of internal storage and starting at $200 with a 2-year contract.
Would you care to play Portal, TF2, Half-Life, or Counter-Strike on your Ubuntu machine? Well, I got good news for you. Valve officially launched its Steam client for Linux, and knowing how Linux users like free and cheap stuff, they have a sale. 50 of the almost 60 Linux titles are now 50% to 70% off until 10 a.m. next Thursday, February 21st.
President Obama is asking for smarter patent laws and says that the 2011 efforts patent reform only went halfway to the point where they need to go. The patent laws would address the growing bunch of litigious, non-practicing entities. In other words, patent law has to deal with patent trolls soon.
This episode of Tech News Today brought to you by Pond5, the world's stock media marketplace. Now, all week long, they've been supporting Tech News Today. And if you are a media maker, you already know. We've already told you how they've got the videos. They've got the sound effects. They've got the After Effects templates, the vector illustrations, all the music tracks, and customizable motion graphics templates. So what are you doing? Go out and get it right now. Go to pond5.com/TNT. They'll give you 50 free media files right off the bat to get you started. And then you'll be able to just choose all the stuff that you want. Developers can use Pond5 for high-quality sound effects for games. Remember, when we say media makers, it's not limited to just like movies and TV shows or radio shows. Designers can use Pond5, so you don't have to build everything from scratch. Film and video makers, obviously, HD footage. Big crane shots, helicopter shots, crowd shots, anything you need is in there. There are millions of pieces of content for you to choose from. In fact, on Frame Rate, we actually threw out the challenge to people: go make a video based on what you've got from Pond5. So if anybody does that, hey, you make a video, you make an app, anything you make with Pond5, let us know about it, and we'll give you a little plug right here on Tech News Today. If you're an artist, you're going to love Pond5 too, because they're shaking up the stock agency market by allowing you to sell your stock media. You get to set the price, and then you pay out 50% royalties for each and every sale. That's a higher payout than other stock photo marketplaces. So the prices are unbeatable. You can't beat it. Like I said, go get those 50 free stock media files at pond5.com/TNT. Don't delay. You got the weekend coming up. Long weekend here in the U.S. President's Day off on Monday. So go make something and use Pond5. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Now, normally on Fridays, we have Darren Kitchen from Hack5 with us. So to preserve the conservation of Hack5 hosts on Friday, thank you, Shannon Morse, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And, of course, Shannon, also our product wrangler at Twit. How are things going with Before You Buy these days?
Going really good. Yeah, I'm actually expecting a couple of cell phones to come in, so I think I'll mess around with Jason and have him review those.
Nice.
Sounds good.
You never stop assigning reviews. That's awesome.
That's true. Yeah, people might get a little annoyed with that, but I email people constantly saying, here, first dibs, take it, get it out of here.
Get it, do it. All right, let's start off talking about the new Skype video messaging we mentioned in the news feed. Sarah, what's going on with this?
Oh, so it's a service that's rolling out this week, and it'll be for iOS, for Android, and for Mac. Windows conspicuously absent. So it's for online and offline messaging, and what it is video messages. So I, as a Skype user, could send up to 3 minutes of video to one of you, and at the time, it would be delivered in the chat part of Skype. So if I send a message to Ayaz, whether he's there or not, it sort of sits there and waits for him to watch it at his leisure. The Mac client works the same way as iOS and Android versions will, although there is an option to download the video on the Mac client. The videos you receive come in MP4 format. And it's only going to roll out to the US and UK users at first. The company says they plan to enter other markets too with video messaging, but these are just the two markets, at least at initial rollout. And the idea is that you go ahead and say, okay, I want to leave a video message for this person who's not available or maybe offline. Front-facing camera turns on. You have the option to use the rear-facing camera if you're on a mobile device. Okay, that's fine. I guess sometimes you might want to leave a video message that's not looking at yourself. It looks a lot like a Skype window. I'm trying to figure out how often I would use something like this. I think I'm not really leaving a lot of voicemail messages these days, and that's what this is to me. This is just voicemail when you're looking at me poorly lit with a window behind me. Shannon, do you think this is awesome? Do you think you would use it?
The only thing I can imagine myself actually using this for is for drunk messages in the middle of the night just to scare people.
Huh?
Or prank calls. Yeah, lots and lots of prank calls. Maybe I'll call my mom and stuff a pillow up my shirt and pretend I'm pregnant or something and not say anything.
I guess if you've really, there's a Skype call and maybe we come across this at Twit all the time. For whatever reason, it's not connecting or the user's showing offline and you've just got to get something across. It could come in handy. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure how often, when it's not an actual real-time two-way conversation, it needs to be video.
I'm thinking about this, and if there was going to be a standalone service that did this, I think it'd be a little silly. But the fact that this is Skype and people are used to doing video conferencing with it maybe they're saying like, okay, I can quickly explain something by saying it instead of typing it in a chat. The fact that it's going to be in that chat window, I think that defines how it's going to be used. Because for me, I know when I want to get something across, I really don't want to come up and write everything I'm saying. I just want to quickly record it. And I think of effectively a video voicemail. There's nothing too strange about that, especially since it's limited to 3 minutes. Because hopefully you can't have a long prank that would last half an hour. It's not like a little Vine where it's 6 seconds. You can actually get some real data out there in 3 minutes. And if you can't, you actually have to arrange a call.
This might actually work really useful for shows that you do, Sarah, whenever you want people to send in feedback or send in a little short video message.
Yeah.
That could be good.
Hey, thanks, Skype. Glad you're working with my shows. Tom, we have actually research from a firm called Telegeography, telecom market analysis firm, that shows worldwide Skype usage is now equivalent to over 1/3 of all international phone traffic. There are a lot of people using Skype. Do you think a significant number of those people are wanting video messaging?
You know, when I saw that number, I wondered how much of that is made up of stuff like this, right? I'm on Skype right now. I'm going to be on Skype for over an hour talking to you guys. And we have guests on Twitter all the time. There's lots of people doing podcasts, people using Skype for things they would have never used the phone for, in other words. So I feel like that number might be inflated, but is it inflated because Skype allows you to do that? And I guess we could have used telephony to do that if it was cheaper back before you had to, but long distance fees went away. So I don't know. When I first heard about the video voicemail, I thought, you know what? I've been wanting a video Snapchat that allows me to leave a permanent message. So it won't be, no, I'm just kidding. I think what video messaging would be good for, and this is why I think the ability to use the reverse camera might make more sense, is I want to show you something. And I know you're not at your Skype machine, but maybe I'm on vacation, or I'm visiting grandma, or I'm seeing this amazing beautiful scene, and I just want to kind of record it and send it to you. That's perfect for Skype. I can make a quick video and know that you'll see it later.
By the way, for anyone who's like, hey, why don't Windows users get to experience this off the bat? Microsoft is being sort of vague about why, but as a Windows Skype for Windows or Skype for Windows Phone user, you still receive the messages. You just get them as a link to view them online, so they're not actually living in your chat list.
Oh, so you have to go to the web and then they're embedded or something?
Well, it's a link that shows up in your chat. It's just not the video itself will then redirect you to a permalink page.
Gotcha.
And you
Kind
can
of
download
clunky.
it if
I
you
don't
want to.
Yeah, I still think it's strange that Windows wasn't first,
Yeah, I do too. That's kind of weird.
or at least part of the initial group.
Yeah, because Windows is such a large market and who's Skype owned by?
Microsoft.
Microsoft?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. And so I was a little confused about that at
Well, maybe
first.
this was sitting around for a while and they just rolled it out. I'm sure Microsoft is busy making Skype work for Windows 8 and all those other things right now.
That could make sense.
All right, let's talk about Steam launching for Linux. I got my Zarezen laptop here, and I got it installed and running. I have to say it was a little buggy, but I think that's more a consequence of me putting it on a very underpowered machine for video gaming. I was able to download Dungeons of Dreadmore, which I'd previously purchased for Windows, and now I can play it on Linux. It actually plays pretty well on this little laptop, so good to the Dungeons of Dreadmore people. But essentially, Valve, after laying off 10% of its staff earlier this week, which Gabe Newell said, we're not going to discuss why anyone in particular is or isn't working here, but we're not abandoning any projects. We're still going to do all our projects. They launched Linux yesterday evening. Almost 60 games in the store, so not a lot, but there's some good titles in here. You've got Team Fortress 2 available for free to play. You've got Counter-Strike Source. I'm looking at Intrusion 2, Sword and Sorcery. Torchlight 2 is a weekend deal. Amnesia, 75% off. FTL, Faster Than Light. There's also, I don't know if these are on sale, but you can also get Counter-Strike 1.6. You can get the Orange Box, which means you can play Portal, Serious Sam 3, World of Ghoul, World of Goo. I want to see a spinoff called World of Ghoul now. David Pitkin, who's the director of consumer applications at Canonical, those are the folks behind Ubuntu, said, we expect a growing number of game developers to include Ubuntu among their target platforms. We're looking forward to seeing AAA games developed with Ubuntu as part of a multi-platform day and date release of Steam. So here's my question for you. Shannon, I know you use Linux a lot. Do you think this will bring gaming to Linux finally?
Yes. I'm sitting over here like bouncing up and down. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to start using this out and testing it and make sure that like all of my games work right. But I have a question about it. You said that you already downloaded a game. Did you have to buy that game over again since you already purchased it? Or were you able to just sign on to your regular username and get it?
No, good question. Yeah, I signed onto Steam, and I saw my library of games, and most of them were way too big for the little 32 gigabyte solid state drive. But Dungeons of Dreadmore wasn't, so I was like, okay, I can reinstall that one, no problem. In fact, the one game I bought for $2.50, what was that? I tried another game. Oh, iBomber Defense Pacific isn't working for some reason, but Dungeons of Dreadmore works fine.
I wonder if I can download a whole bunch of games on Linux and then use them on my Windows computer. Ha-ha! I win.
Well, you can. I mean, that's how Steam works, right? You buy it one place. If it's available on the other platform, then you've got it there as well. That's the brilliance of it.
Yeah, I have a couple of mixed feelings about this. On one side, I'm like, oh, Valve, you jerks. You know, you fired one of my friends yesterday. And on the other hand, I'm like, yes, Steam games on Linux. I'm super excited.
What do you think, Ayaz? Is this going to change the platform? You're not as much of a Linux user. I know you dabble in it sometimes, but will this bring games over to Linux en masse?
I mean, the real thing that stops games on Linux is graphics card support. I mean, that's the big thing that Windows has over Linux all the time, is that they can support pretty much any latest and greatest graphics card out of the gate when that thing comes out. And that's what you want. You want really great performance when you're gaming on a PC, because that's the reason you're not on a console. You want to have something you can upgrade. And Linux gets held up because sometimes these drivers aren't available. And I know, I believe there was it was Torvalds who had an issue with, was it NVIDIA? That they were not releasing their drivers fast enough. Had some swear words for them. Although NVIDIA is putting out drivers for this, I think it's just Valve trying to protect themselves from that Windows store. They want to make sure that they have a future, whatever the PC is. But that graphics card situation is something that needs to be addressed.
And I think that's what Gabe Newell is up to here, is trying to drive people to pay more attention to Linux. I know Canonical is behind it. That's why it's launched for Ubuntu first. Before other distros, but it certainly is an impressive step. And for as underpowered as this little light laptop that I'm using is, it works great. I mean, it can't run all the games, obviously, but Steam just looks and works exactly like it does on my Windows machine or even OS X.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Let's move on to Facebook, letting you sell your friends' posts.
Something like that. Well, Facebook's rolling out a new feature right now. If you pay $7, you can promote your friends' posts. This is an expansion to Facebook's service that lets you promote your own posts for $7, the same amount of money. Now, Facebook gave an example case where you'd use this feature. Like your friend is running a marathon for a charity and has posted that. You can help your friend by promoting that to all your friends by paying $7. The tool for promoting friends' posts is being introduced globally, but it's going to be rolling out. And it won't be available for people who have more than 5,000 friends and followers. I guess they don't want spam. Sarah, would you pay to promote your friends' Facebook statuses? Who is this feature for?
Well, first of all, if by followers they mean subscribers, this feature won't be available to me because I have more than 5,000 of them, so that's kind of annoying. However, there's a specific instance where this would have come in handy just a couple weeks ago. A friend of mine's dad had to give up a couple of his cats. They were in a shelter. My friend was very distraught. He asked me to sort of post wherever I could, and I knew that I had, a pretty good Facebook reach, but I would have paid $7 to have that pinned up at the top at somebody's newsfeed, just to get it in front of as many eyes as possible because I was trying to do a good deed. So yes, I can think of, not too many self-promotional stuff, but certain instances where I'd say not only is $7 worth it to me, but I really want to get this in front of people because it's a good cause.
That's a really good point, Sarah, because I'm currently trying to raise awareness about my grandpa's fundraiser because he's in the hospital, and I'm just trying to, get everyone to, send us $1 or at least share the information in the blog that I created. And yeah, I would love it if people could do that and just help share the news about that. But when I first read this, I was just thinking, that's kind of creepy. Why would I ever want to use it? But in that case,
I think probably the $7 is at least a good threshold where, I mean, you're not going to have people like going crazy promoting their friends' posts because people don't want to spend money unless they have a really good reason.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious if there's any safeties at this. Like, let's say one of my friends wrote something really stupid and I wanted to get that publicized a lot. I could be like, hey, $7. I want everybody to see this. Tom, do you think this is going to be used for altruistic or prank purposes?
I think it mostly will be used for non-prank purposes. Certainly pranks are be played. And just to be clear, it's a promoted post, right? And it works like all other promoted posts, so you know it's promoted?
I believe so. It's supposed to be just like when you pay for your own one to be promoted.
It must, because especially if I pay for someone's post and one of my friends sees it and they're not friends with the initial person, that would have to be pretty clear.
Yeah. I do think it would be good, and this may come up, that you should have the ability to mark your post as non-promotable. In the case of exactly what you're talking about, like my friend wrote something really idiotic, and then I go and pay $7 to like push it out there so everybody makes sure they see it. Of course, you can always delete your post, and I guess that would remove it. I don't know.
I'm not really sure how that would actually work in practice. I'm just kind of curious if this is going to bring up any significant revenue for Facebook. It seems like it's a small charge, $7. It stops people from spamming a lot. If it was like $1, I'm sure people would be using this a little bit more. But I don't know if this is going to be a significant area for Facebook to be like, hey, look at all this revenue we're generating from people paying to promote these things. Sarah, do you think this is a sustainable thing for Facebook to help their bottom line, or is this just a little extra thing?
I think this is probably something that, they're going to get a little bit of money for. And there are a fair amount of people who are raising money for a variety of reasons all the time. Most of that stuff I get via email. I think there's a little bit of a philanthropic type of a thing that Facebook is dabbling in here. And I don't think this is where they're going to get a huge chunk of their future revenue, but I don't think it hurts them to offer the service.
Every little bit counts. Every little one of these things that Facebook comes up with starts to pile up if they have enough of them. And even if they just have small usage, it can be the thing that gives them a nice baseline to their revenue. The continuing saga of the New York Times versus Tesla unfolds as New York Times' John Broder has posted an explanation of his review, which kind of debunks some of the things we were speculating about yesterday, right, Sarah?
Yeah, and I really wanted to make sure that we talked about this story because we kind of ended our conversation with Clayton Morris, our guest yesterday, sort of saying, well, it looks like John Broder kind of screwed that one up from the New York Times. And he has written a rebuttal where he backs up the things that he says and says, listen, whether or not Tesla says that car didn't run out of juice because we're looking at data logs. He says, well, whether or not Tesla thinks that it ran out of juice, it shut down. I couldn't drive it anymore. I had to get a flatbed truck and get towed. He says at a critical time when passing a charging station where Elon Musk, CEO and founder of Tesla, said, why didn't you stop at the charging station? You just let yourself run out of juice. Energy. That's sort of, I don't say gas, I just say juice now when we're talking about electrical energy. He says the car didn't alert him that there was a charging station nearby, and nobody from Tesla alerted him either. And he said he was on the phone during his drive, 2-day drive, with Tesla personnel about a dozen times, talking about, get some info on maximizing battery. He had stopped for the night. The temperatures were very low. He was concerned when he started the car the next day that, I've run out of, I don't have as much a fuel life as I thought I did. So he said, I was talking to these people quite a bit, and sometimes the employees I would talk to would contradict the employee I had talked to the previous time. So he said, a lot of this stuff just wasn't clear. He says about those parking lot donuts that Elon Musk had accused him of doing in order to run out of battery. He said, you know what I was doing? I was in fact driving around the Milford Service Plaza on Interstate 95 in the dark, trying to find the unlighted and poorly marked Tesla supercharger. He didn't share that data, which Tesla has now posted online with me at the time. So he said, yeah, you probably did see me going around in circles, but I wasn't trying to do anything nefarious. I was actually just trying to charge the car. He also says, in defense that he's some sort of electric car hater, he says, since 2009, I've been in the Washington Bureau reporter responsible for coverage of energy, environment, climate change. I've written numerous articles about the auto industry, several vehicle reviews for the automobile pages. He's like, this is kind of what I do here. I'm not out to get anybody. So at this point, I think we could all agree it's a little bit of a he said, she said thing. We got data logs that suggest something. And Broder's saying, well, you know, some of those logs might be true, but here's why I'm not a bad guy and I didn't try to sabotage the company. But clearly Elon Musk is upset. Tesla's stock took a dip after the original article came out. This is something that, you know, is in the millions and billions of dollars at stake for a company like Tesla. And some people kind of go, Elon Musk sort of bullied this guy. I mean, this is a guy who's trying to present real world evidence to people who might be interested in buying an electric car. Is this a PR problem for Tesla? What do you think, Shannon?
Yeah. I mean, didn't they have a problem with this earlier with a different news story about the Tesla line?
There was an episode of Top Gear.
Top Gear, that's what it was.
Tesla took offense to a misleading sort of storyline.
Right. So at this point, I really hope the story dies after this because I'm getting a little bit sick of all the back and forth. I seriously want to create a couple little puppets and have them just go at it because that's pretty much all this story is at this point. It's just
Elon Muppet.
Elon Muppets.
Well, you know, and there was a scene at, as we mentioned in the news views, another reviewer basically took the same route and said, it was okay. I worked it out. There wasn't the difference between the two trips is one was done in a day and the temperature was about, I think they said about 10 degrees higher. And the review in question, the New York Times reporter, was done over 2 days, and part of the issue was that a lot of the battery life had drained overnight in cold temperatures.
Yeah, there's a lot to take into account when it comes to this specific story. It's cold out. The guy's driving like you would normally drive a car, and not necessarily an electric car. So there's problems on both ends that I can see here, but it's definitely a really big PR issue for Tesla.
I don't know. I've read the Times piece, the rebuttal, and I'm like, this guy's just an idiot. I mean, he doesn't know how to drive. He's an educated person. He knows what this car's limitations are. If you're going to go buy this car, I don't think you're going to be like, well, I'm just going to ignore everything. I'm not going to pay attention to signs. It's not well lit. I'm not going to research ahead of time. Like, this guy is a reporter. He's supposed to be on top of this stuff. And if he can't figure it out, it's going to make it look like, oh, well, how's a normal person going to do it? A normal person can't buy a Tesla S because it's like $50,000 starting. And it's going to cost like $100,000 once you max it out. At that point, if you're going to spend $100,000, you might start thinking a little bit and go, where can I find the charging stations instead of being an idiot like this guy? I just was so frustrated by reading this and then seeing CNN did it as well. They can do the drive. I just think if you have enough money, if you have this much money, you might be able to figure out, hey, I should be doing research just a little bit.
I'm a little less harsh about the guy, but I generally agree with you. As I said yesterday, it just doesn't look like he's good at reviews. And I know he's got lots of experience in covering the car market, but this doesn't make it look any better to me for him. It does explain some of the things like driving around in the parking lot. Okay, he's looking for the charging station. That actually makes a lot of sense. But instead of, like you say, researching things himself, he just called Tesla. At worst, it makes Tesla look like their customer support is not that great, that they had some conflicting information and they didn't tell them the right information at some times. But like you said, if you're driving a car, you don't usually call the car manufacturer for instructions the entire way. You research it yourself and you go out and you drive. So I'm pretty much in agreement with you there. Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Holt estimates $2.5 billion are laying on the table for Microsoft. That's half of what Office earns, which is a fifth of Microsoft's quarterly revenue. It's an open secret. Mary Jo Foley says everybody knows Microsoft is working on an iOS version of Office. They don't even bother to deny it anymore. We're just waiting for them to finally admit it. And Holt says, you know, if they came out with it at around $60, which is, you know, it's probably dead center of what you might expect them to charge. And let's say only a third of iPad users installed it. That would make them $2.5 billion, even after Apple takes the cut. And there's even ways they could use their current subscription model to get around Apple taking the cut, or create an HTML5 version so you just use it in a browser, and then there's no way Apple can take a cut of this. Ayaz, do you think this is what Microsoft needs to do? I mean, this would be a significant revenue boost if Holt is right.
I mean, I think they need to be on as many devices as possible. I mean, they are a software company, and if they want to keep putting all their eggs in the Windows basket, that's one way to do it. But it seems like PC manufacturers are diversifying a bit with Android devices and Chromebooks these days. So the idea that Microsoft should stick to its old guns, which is make software for everything, seems like I think that's the right plan for them. I don't think it's going to hurt Surface sales. I don't think it's going to hurt PC sales either, because I think people will realize, hey, wait a second, maybe this could be better if I had a keyboard. Maybe if I had a full machine or not. I mean, they still support Mac. Why not support iPad at this point? Although the $60 price point, I don't know how you would be able to market that properly as a bundle. Like, okay, here's Office for $60. I could see them breaking out like $10 applications, because $60 in the App Store, that sounds really pricey.
Especially if Apple's going to take about $20 of that $60. You know, I would think that Microsoft would be trying as hard as possible to figure out some sort of an HTML5 or some other App Store circumvention option, just to not give Apple $20 for every version of Office sold in the App Store.
See,
I think at $60, you're talking about a third of the people going, you know what, I really need to get this, and maybe work's paying for it, so fine. If you dropped it down to $30 or, like you say, $10 an app, then I think you get a larger uptake than a third of the people.
I mean, I was playing around with SkyDrive and running Office through that on my iPad, and it runs fine. So I don't know why people don't say, hey, by the way, you can use Excel right on your iPad right now. This is in the Chrome browser, so it'll work. So I'm not really sure.
It's extremely small, though.
Well, I mean, it's still,
you can zoom in and
it's
stuff.
It's still usable. So I'm saying that if you wanted that whole experience, you could get it right now. So I don't know why Microsoft doesn't push that right now and say, look, if you want Office on Linux, if you want Office on your iPad, it's already there. You just have to sign it to SkyDrive. So I'm just kind of curious why that's never been pushed when it actually works right now.
Or you could just keep on using OpenOffice and Google Docs.
Yeah, Google Doc works great on tablets.
Right.
It works better. Well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, that SkyDrive, as Shannon pointed out, is not really designed for the tablet interface. You said it's usable, but it's not ideal. And that may be why Microsoft is holding off pushing it, because they are developing an app that will work really well on a tablet. And then they can say, like, hey, instead of struggling with Google Docs, which, come on, that's a joke on a tablet, use this amazingly designed Excel, blah, 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 blah. Something like that. Let's, I almost don't want to talk about this. Let's talk about the MPD numbers for game console sales in January.
Sure. As you can hear from Tom's very, very happy tones, NPD released video game data. So the plus side says video game retail sales were up 9% compared to last year. But there's some weird math here. NPD considered January 2013 a leap month, so they included a week of December in January, making it a 5-week month, which if you normalize the data, retail sales would actually be down 13%. So that 9% up is really bizarre. I'm not really sure how that works out. Specific hardware numbers were not in the NPD data. And like Sarah mentioned, a Gama Sutra piece says that the Wii U sold under 100,000 units, and their estimates are something like 45,000 to 59,000 units. Microsoft, on the other hand, is just like, they're cheering. So they sold 281,000 Xbox 360s in January. That's the 25th consecutive month the Xbox 360 has been the best-selling console. 76 million consoles sold worldwide. Sony hasn't mentioned what it sold in January, but it has shipped 77 million PS3s. The whole video game market looks like it's in a slump. Is Nintendo just in a bad market, or is the Wii U just a big loser at this point, Shannon?
I don't want to say it, but I feel like the Wii U is just a big fat loser, and that's so depressing for me because I really want to get one whenever they get a new Zelda game, but I don't know, I might have to hold out until the next gen.
Tom,
Well, that may be the thing, Shannon, because I'm exactly like you. There's so many Nintendo fans out there that think we're anti-Nintendo. And in fact, if anything, personally, I feel very positive about Nintendo. But the Wii U is just not cut it. But maybe the hope is in the next Zelda game or some more Mario titles. When new titles come out, maybe it'll drag this thing back out from under this heavy weight, because the console itself just isn't like the Wii. The Wii was dead simple. It was like, it's cheap, it's awesome, you get to wave around, play games, it's fun, easy to explain. The controversy was whether you kept playing it after you bought it, but Nintendo didn't care so much about that. It's hard to get people to buy it. That's a problem.
I mean, the Wii U is out in front of everybody. There's no next version of Xbox. There's no next version of the PlayStation. They came out with no games, effectively, no monstrous ones, and they were saying, we're going to have a release window of months. Is it just the games, Sarah? Or like this? This console doesn't. If it doesn't have games and it's not that compelling a piece of hardware and it's more expensive than everything else, what could Nintendo possibly do?
Well, they're not capturing the hearts and minds of gamers. That's for sure. Well under 100,000 units in a period of time where it's new and exciting, and people who care about gaming to the point where they're not just they're more than just the casual gamer are not buying this. Speaks volumes. Yeah, new Zelda game comes out, Shannon. Maybe you'll think about it.
Yeah.
And I just don't. I see maybe it trickling along in that case, but not getting the boost that Nintendo needs.
But how is it Microsoft can sell almost 300,000 units of a 7-year-old box?
Because it's a media center. It's not a specific gaming console that is the next generation of something that people liked anyway, but didn't necessarily have a problem with.
So, Tom, do you
It's
think
more
it's
than just gaming?
Tom, do you think it's that lack of the TV that Nintendo was promoting? This was supposed to come out at launch, and that got delayed.
No.
This idea
No,
of being a media center would be good.
No, I think it's the lack of TV working very well. I was very excited about TV, and when it finally launched, I was like, this is not living up to the promise. And actually, I'll take a little issue with you saying they had no games. They had Super Mario Brothers U. They had Assassin's Creed 3. They had, they had Darksiders 3. They had a Call of Duty. They even had Sonic All-Stars. I mean, there weren't a lot of titles. Zombie U actually gets lots of good reviews. That's a fun game. But they had decent enough titles.
But the titles were.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should complain about the titles at launch.
Well, some
There's
of those
things to play on.
there
this.
were a lack of exclusive titles, I guess, because those games that could run on the Wii U could run on the Xbox 360 right now and the PS3 already, and they were running very well. The idea
you
is that
still
the
got.
Wii. Go ahead.
Yeah. You got Super Mario Brothers U though. That's their pinnacle franchise, right?
It's not helping sales though. That's
Yeah, I
the
know, that's the
curiosity.
problem.
That's the big thing. They have the first party games that are supposed to get people in, and if Super Mario's not getting them in, then what do you do? I mean, you try to bring out a Zelda game, but I mean, how often can you keep mining your own stuff until you go, okay, wait a second, we should be putting out games for other consoles?
Maybe it's the Wii U is just too different for consumers to quite understand why they would want to buy it at this point.
That's possible.
Yeah. Well, it's too different in the wrong ways and not different enough in other ways. That's my take on it. Because when I did the Before You Buy review for it, I was basically saying, you know what? This just doesn't have anything compelling to say to somebody who has the Wii, upgrade to this. You know, the game dash is interesting, but you really have to have other people to make good use of it. Well, if you're playing the game, if you're playing the Wii U alone, a lot of times you're just playing on the little tablet thing. You're not actually using the television. It's weird.
So Nintendo's problem was that they assumed that gamers had friends. Is that the real thing? I mean, that we're in the same space.
That was actually how the Wii was fun. Like, it's for the whole family and everything. So I see why they went that way, but they just didn't make it fun to play alone as much. And there's just nothing compelling. There's nothing that tells me, oh, you really got to get the Wii U because you can't do X without it, except play Super Mario Brothers U or forthcoming Zelda titles. Well, we're all going to die in a horrible, fiery astronomical crash. So let's move on to the randomizer. The asteroid's supposed to hit a little bit within an hour of our recording time right now, but Russia got a preview yesterday when a meteor exploded. And early reports are that there actually is a crater and there might be a little bit of the meteorite left in the bottom of it. Still waiting for confirmation about that. A Canadian astronomer taking some of the infrasound data from 2 Russian stations estimates the object was 15 meters across and about 40 tons, making it, if so, the largest object in over a century to fall. The Tunguska event was 1908. So that was the one that smashed down trees in Siberia, but didn't actually hit the ground. It exploded in the air above. The best part is the video, though. There's amazing dashboard cam videos. Who knew that the people in Russia had this much video going on all over the place? It was in the Ural region.
Well, some beautiful video, but let's not forget that over 1,000 people were injured.
Over 1,000 now is the count?
That's what I heard on BBC World this morning on my drive up here.
And I posted a link for you, Jason, over on the side next to the video. This article has been keeping up live retweets and reactions about what's going on, and apparently the damage is up at about 33 million US dollars, which is like 3 billion rubles or 1 billion rubles, something like that. So not as much damage as you would think from a meteorite, but still kind of crazy.
On a much lighter note, I thought it was very pretty. I mean, it looked like the beginning of Smallville. I was like, it looked amazing. But to find out the horribleness that follows it is a real downer.
These dash cam videos, by the way, that Russia has, they have them all over the place for like insurance because people run around in the middle of the road all the time. There's hilarious videos on
that's
YouTube.
why these videos are there?
That's why they have them. Yeah, hilarious videos on YouTube. You should all look it up. It's so funny. But I thought it was weird because you can hear what's going on in the car, and none of these people freaked out.
Yeah,
none of them.
With this big flash.
They're just playing their music.
Smoke streaking through the sky, you think, oh, nuclear strike, right?
Yeah, They're
But
just
no, yeah.
they're just hanging out. They're like, oh, what's that? Oh, pretty.
Some of them look like they're going to drive right into this thing. That's what it looks like in some of the videos. I'm just surprised nobody swerves.
Yeah, me
BBC
too.
reports at least 950 people, so almost 1,000, just like Sarah said, injured. 46 remain in hospital. So it's not that 950 people are laid up in the hospital. Still very serious though, with 46 people injured. But again, not widespread death and destruction. But wow, yeah, I still can't get over the flash that happens before you even see it. Right? There's just this blinding white flash, and that's the first indication in most of this video that you have that anything's happening. All right, let's check what's coming up if we survive the asteroid that has yet to come by Earth in the calendar.
Well, let's hope we do. SimCity is hosting another closed beta tomorrow. That's February 16th. Also, this weekend, Nintendo is merging its handheld and console divisions. Messenger's Skype transition, that's Messenger sort of rolling into Skype, that's going to start April 8th, although it'll continue through the end of April, won't wrap until the end of the month. And just a reminder, or maybe I'm telling you for the first time, Monday is a U.S. holiday. It's President's Day here in the U.S., and TNT, as well as the rest of Twit, will not be doing any shows on Monday. So we will be back on Tuesday as scheduled, and we'll be sleeping in on Monday. If
That's right.
all goes well.
Yeah, I wish.
With a long sleep, I guess.
Except Jason. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
it's reality.
You know, I have cats, too. They're just like babies.
You got a
Crying all
Lucy,
the
he's got a
time.
Lucy.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Parents love it
Scratching
when
at the
pet
door.
owners compare their pets to babies.
Oh, come on. How different can it really be? I have two.
No comment.
Let's see what's incoming.
Incoming message.
Sure, we've got a message from Ted in San Diego. He says, hey, TNT crew, I'm watching today's podcast, I guess that was yesterday. You're talking about HP making an Android phone because they're all out of options due to WebOS not working. What about if they made a Windows phone? They used to make really great Windows phones back when BlackBerrys were really popular. What do you think, Shannon? Should HP be getting on the Windows phone?
Sure, it gives me more to review on before you buy. Why not?
That's a really selfish way to do that. It's like, who cares about corporate strategy? BYB.
That's right.
Well, and HP and Microsoft are great partners on the desktop and the PC. It does make sense for them to do a Windows phone. So I think a lot of people were surprised to hear that HP would be doing an Android phone. HP actually has their earnings report next Thursday, February 21st. So maybe Meg Whitman will give us a little insight then. We'll see.
Got another email from Matt who says, I was watching Thursday's episode with a discussion of public/government internet service in Georgia with interest, as I've lived in government internet for the last 6 years. I was lucky enough to help construct the county-wide internet network in Cambria County, Pennsylvania. The network delivers internet to paying subscribers using 5.8 gigahertz point-to-point multi-point radios and can give users anywhere between 6 and 15 megabits per second. It also delivered free internet to police, fire, and EMS stations in the county for backup emergency communications. Today, the customer base is shrinking because the more traditional telcos responded to the competition and pushed services out faster. For example, we deployed a tower with 150 customers ready to go. By the time the construction was done, Verizon had DSL in that town, something they didn't even want prior to doing the announcement of construction. These sorts of networks drive competition at the very least. And then he says, thank you for all the hard work you put in.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for the insight. I think that was one of my contentions anyway, was that allowing municipalities the latitude to pursue this sort of thing with taxpayer approval can spur competition that wouldn't exist anyway. So it's actually better for the free market in a lot of ways. Well, that is it for this episode of Tech News Today. Shannon, thanks for joining us. Always great to have you on the show.
Always great to be here.
Let folks know what you're up to anywhere on the internet, anything you're doing.
Well, now that I know that there's Linux games on Steam, or Steam's on Linux now, I think I might talk about that next week on Hack 5. I think that'll be fun. I'm also on Before You Buy, and I do ThreatWire at youtube.com/techfeed.
Excellent. Check her out, hak5.org for Hack 5. You can also submit stories for us to cover at our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com, the place to go to vote. Make your noise heard. You can comment, you can vote things up or down, you can submit links. If you like any particular portion of our show at any point during the year or any show on Twit, let us know. Twit.tv/bestof is the place to submit your favorite moments so that we can compile them into an awesome best of episode at the end of the year. As Sarah mentioned, we will be off on Monday for the President's Day holiday in the U.S.
Oops.
So we'll be back on Tuesday. You can always find us, though, at twit.tv twit.tv/TNT. You can email us, tnt@twit.tv, or give us a call, leave us a voicemail, 260-TNT show. When we're back on Tuesday, Lamar Wilson joins us. We'll see you then.